Testing 1, testing 2. Yes. One, test 2, 3, 4.
Excellencies, please join us now in welcoming the co-hosts of the second United Nations Food System Summit and the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations. His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed, Her Excellency Georgia Meloni, and Her Excellency Amina Mohammed. Welcome, Excellencies. Your Excellency, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Your Excellency, Georgia Meloni, Prime Minister and President of the Council of Ministers of the Italian Republic, Your Excellency, Amina Mohammed, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Excellencies, Heads of States and Governments, Honorable Ministers, Heads of UN agencies, distinguished ambassadors and members of the Corps, representatives of international organizations and all other stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen. It is an immense honor and a profound privilege to welcome you to the second United Nations Food System Summit Stocktake, UNFSS+4. Your Excellencies, for the very first time, the UN Food System Summit Stocktaking moment is convening on African soil, placing our continent at the very heart of the global conversation. This is a moment of recognition, of representation, and responsibility. Ethiopia, the cradle of humanity, where humankind first walked on 2 feet, proudly hosts this milestone. We're gathered at the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa for what promises to be a crucial platform for action, collaboration, and accelerated action. Welcome once again to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and welcome to UNFSS+4. Your Excellencies, as we now set the stage for the high-level segment of the summit, let us take a moment to ground ourselves in the remarkable food systems journey of our host nation.
In the heart of the Horn of Africa lies a nation rooted in civilization, resilient, diverse, and rising. Ethiopia, a country long known for its history, culture, and spirit, is now redefining its future through the most fundamental force of all: food. Food is more than what we eat, it's how we live. Every seed and every shared meal reflects a complex system linking health, the environment, the economy, and society. That's why Ethiopia adopted a food systems approach centered on healthy diets to tackle food insecurity, climate change, inequality, and economic vulnerability together. In 2021, Ethiopia joined the global vision of the STEM Summit, but went further by creating its own roadmap, shaped by national realities and aspirations. More than a document, this roadmap sparked a national movement driven by local innovation, scalable initiatives, game-changing solutions, and 6 key enablers. Diverse voices from government to the private sector came together to rethink how Ethiopia produces, processes, and shares food. Real change needs leadership. In 2021, Ethiopia built on the Sakwata Declaration to launch a multi-level food systems governance model led by an interministerial committee of 16 ministries, co-chaired by Agriculture and Health. Regions followed suit, tailoring structures to local needs. A development partners forum was formed, and steps are underway to engage the private sector formally. No transformation is complete without tackling climate. Ethiopia recognized this, and in 2025 launched the Convergence Action Blueprint, a bold integrated push to align food systems with climate resilience, biodiversity, and nutrition. Ethiopia's food systems transformation is driven by bold policy reforms and measurable results, led from the top through prime ministerial initiatives and hands-on interventions. In 2024, Ethiopia's Council of Ministers endorsed a revised agricultural and rural development policy, paving the way for export growth, private sector engagement, sustainable land use, and greater competitiveness. To accelerate progress, a tax-free import policy now supports over 500 types of agricultural technologies, boosting mechanization across 5 million hectares. Other bold reforms include the Agricultural Production Contract Proclamation, the Pluralistic Extension Service Proclamation, and the Seed Law Proclamation. Over 11 hectares are now cultivated under cluster farming, empowering 15.1 million farmers with improved access to inputs, mechanization, and markets. Ethiopia now cultivates 7.7 million hectares of wheat, producing 29 million tons in the 2024-2025 period, a once distant dream, now a reality. Over 40 billion seedlings planted since 2019, including fruit and coffee trees, and a goal of 50 billion by 2026, Ethiopia's food future is not just secure, but green. Between 2019 and 2025, Ethiopia also revolutionized food production. Milk surged from 4.4 to 13.1 billion liters. Eggs from 2.9 to 9.3 billion. Honey, 1,000 to 326,000 tons. Fish from 57,000 to 243,000 tons. And day-old chicks from 24.2 to 136 million. More food, better nutrition, more jobs. Furthermore, Ethiopia's homegrown school feeding program is nurturing a generation of well-fed learners across 22,000 schools and reaching 7.5 million children. Through the Sakwata Declaration, Ethiopia's bold 15-year commitment to end stunting in children under 2 by 2030 targets the crucial first 1,000 days of life, reaching more than 2.8 million children. Sakwata is driving down child stunting. Ethiopia isn't slowing down. The next frontier is even more ambitious. Fertilizer production, agro-processing, livestock and dairy value chains, and much more. guided by a clear national strategy, driven by people, rooted in resilience. From climate to commerce, nutrition to nature, Ethiopia shows that when we think in systems, we grow more than food. We nourish the nation. We grow futures. And this journey has only just begun.
We thank you very much for your attention. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to our high-level opening statements. Please join me in welcoming to the podium His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia.
Your Excellency Giorgia Meloni, Prime Minister of Italy, Your Excellency William Ruto, President of Kenya, Your Excellency Hassan Sheikh, President of Somalia, Your Excellency Azali Assoumani, President of Comoros, Your Excellency Madam Amina Mohammed, Deputy Secretary General of UN, Your Excellency Muhammad Ali Yusuf, Chairperson of Africa Union Commission, Your Excellency Lever Gattet, the Chair of UNECA, heads of UN agencies, Deputy Presidents, Deputy Prime Ministers, Ministers, Ambassadors, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Ethiopia, where the story of humanity began, the birthplace of coffee, a land of rich heritage and boundless potential. It is with great honor that we co-host the second UN Food System Summit in partnership with Italy. This is a moment to take stock and to renew our shared commitment to building food systems that are resilient, inclusive, and just. 4 years ago, we came together to pursue a bold vision, food systems that are sustainable, equitable, and resilient. Food is now agriculture. It shapes our health, our economies, our environment, and our future. Today, we reflect on the progress made and recommit to urgent and coordinated action. Globally, food systems are facing immense pressure from climate shocks, conflicts, inequalities, and economic disruptions. At the same time, development assistance is declining and multilateral cooperation is under strain. These challenges threaten production, supply, and the dignity and stability of nations. Yet, in this context, the human spirit and our shared resolve to act remains strong. Excellencies, in Ethiopia, we have made a deliberate choice to act boldly, to think holistically, and to place human dignity at the center of our food systems transformation. Central to this vision is our commitment to achieving food self-sufficiency. We are investing in local production, reducing dependency on imports, and building resilient systems that serve our people and our future. The first Food Systems Summit in 2021. Ethiopia has launched a comprehensive roadmap for food system transformation. This roadmap is closely aligned with our macroeconomic reforms, particularly the homegrown economic reform agenda, as well as our broader efforts to improve the overall business conditions. It drives key policy reforms in land use, agricultural development, and rural finance, laying the foundation for inclusive, productive, and sustainable food system. Our goal is clear: to ensure that every Ethiopian, in the countryside or the city, young or old, has reliable access to safe, diverse, and nutrient-rich food. To achieve this, we are implementing over 700 actionable interventions. These are locally grounded and structured into 7 strategic clusters, covering everything from production to markets, innovation, risk management, energy, and skills development. Our transformation is a whole-of-nation approach, engaging federal and regional governments, development partners, civil society, the private sector, and research institutions. And we are already seeing results. Through irrigated wheat production, we have ended imports and taken steps towards food self-sufficiency. Our Yelemat Turufat, or Bounty of the Basket initiative, is promoting diversified, high-value livestock production, including poultry, expanded dairy, enhanced apiculture, and sustainable aquaculture to ensure nutritious and accessible food for all. Through the Sokoto Declaration, Ethiopia is implementing a multi-sector commitment to end child undernutrition by 2030, integrating health, agriculture, water, and social protection efforts in food systems transformation. Through the Green Legacy Initiative, till today, we have planted over 40 billion trees, restoring ecosystems, building climate resilience, boosting coffee productivity, and creating green jobs. In addition, we have taken deliberate action to secure the foundation of our food systems. Land laws are being reformed to guarantee tenure security, attract investment, and empower farmers to use land as a productive asset. Inclusive rural finance is expanding access to credit, insurance, and financial literacy for farmers to thrive, not just survive. Mechanization and digital tools are lifting productivity. Climate forecasting helps farmers adapt, while digital access to inputs is increasingly yields. To connect farmers to market, we are strengthening supply chain, developing transport corridors and agro-industrial parks, supported by real-time digital market information systems. Our livestock systems are evolving, and our indigenous food traditions are being renewed. This preserves our culture while also improving health. We are closing micronutrient gaps through industrial and biofortification, ensuring the essential nutrition reaches every household. We are promoting nutrition literacy by empowering women as a community leader and change makers. With national dietary guidelines now in place, every Ethiopian has access to clear culturally grounded guidance for lifelong health. And because a resilient food system needs energy, skills, and equity, we are investing in solar irrigation, cold storage, rural electrification, and training, building a generation ready to lead Ethiopia's food journey into the future. Central to our approach is social protection. Our homegrown school feeding programs, digital food vouchers, and nutrition safety net focus on pregnant women, young children, and food insecure families. Lifelong well-being. We are rolling out new dietary guidelines and nutrition literacy campaigns that support health from infancy through adolescence and into adulthood. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, despite progress, the African continent faces mounting challenges. Yet Africa can feed itself and help feed the world. But this requires, first, development financing. Africa needs predictable concessional finance to invest in agriculture, rural transformation, infrastructure, and nutrition. Climate finance must be aligned with food systems because hunger and environmental degradation are deeply linked. Second, fair access to technology. We need climate smart tools, biotechnologies, and digital agriculture tailored to our contexts. Technologies must be affordable and not locked behind high walls. This is a win-win for all. Third, climate finance integrated into development. Africa contributes least to climate change, but suffers most. Support from sustainable agriculture and land use must be scaled up, not as aid, but as a shared investment. We don't have time to wait for the aid. We are eager and we are open. Anyone wants to invest and to transform this sector with our continent. Beyond finance and technology, we also need fair trade rules that create a level playing field and a strong global partnership that empower local solutions. We must ensure the voice of smallholder farmers who feed over 70% of Africa is heard and supported. Let us work towards a future where no child goes to bed hungry, where rural prosperity is a reality, and where food systems serve both people and planet. Ethiopia remains committed to working with the African Union, our partners, and the United Nations to drive this agenda forward. This Addis Ababa summit must mark the moment we match words with will, pledged with resources, and commitments with the courage to deliver. I thank you.
Your Excellency, Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed, for those powerful and inspiring words. Ladies and gentlemen, we now turn to our esteemed co-hosting nation, the Republic of Italy. It is a great honor to welcome Her Excellency Giorgia Meloni, Prime Minister and President of the Council of Ministers of the Italian Republic.
Well, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to be here today to co-chair the third United Nations Food Systems Summit with Prime Minister Abiy. Thank you very much. Whom I thank once again for his hospitality and for his friendship. This is the first time that this summit is being held in Africa. We choose to organize this event in Addis Ababa government, not only because Italy has a special relation with Ethiopia and a pragmatic cooperation based on concrete projects and initiatives, but also because we believe it is essential to involve the African continent as a protagonist in the choices and actions of the international community. Starting, of course, with the momentous challenge that is the subject of our works today, which is food security. This is a top priority challenge as demonstrated by the broad and qualified participation in this summit and the presence of the UN Deputy Secretary General Mohammed, whom I greet and thank. Although it has drastically decreased over the last 70 years, global food insecurity still affects around 10% of the world's population. And this percentage is largely concentrated here in Africa, where 1 on 5 people suffer from hunger and do not have access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food to lead a healthy life. This situation, already complex, has been exacerbated by the crisis the world is currently facing. While we were working to overcome the shock of the pandemic, we had to deal with Russia's war against Ukraine, which disrupted economic and trade flows and processes, destabilized energy markets, and fueled waves of inflation that hit the most fragile nations, especially in the global south and in Africa. And we know very well that when people do not have access to sufficient food or lose the means to produce it, the consequences can be catastrophic. Poverty worsens, conflicts intensify, and communities become more vulnerable to violence, terrorism, or forced migration. Food insecurity is therefore, in its every aspect, a political issue, but not only. It is also, and above all, an economic issue. We would be making a serious mistake if we limited ourselves to looking at food systems through the face of poverty, suffering, and hunger. Food systems are an engine of growth and development, both for the most fragile nations and for those that are economically more solid. At the heart of our action, there must therefore be the development for the communities where we choose to focus our efforts on. And it is not enough to help those communities to produce the food needed to feed the population, but it is also necessary for that food to be marketed, to have access to markets with solid and resilient production and distribution chains. This is the only way we can enable a community to prosper with the resources it possesses, generating employment and stable, lasting growth. This is Italy's point of view, and it is the red line that links the initiatives and projects of the Mattei Plan for Africa. Starting, of course, with the agri-food sector, an area in which Italy can boast unique know-how that combines tradition and innovation. We have made this heritage available for our African partners, and together with them, we build public-private partnerships that attract investments and get results. We are successfully testing this in Algeria, where we are working to reclaim over 36,000 hectares of desert to produce up to 45,000 tons of additional cereals and legumes per year, creating 6,000 jobs and generating benefits for over 600,000 people. This endeavor is also underway in Senegal, Ghana, and Congo, and aims to soon involve Côte d'Ivoire and President Ruto, Kenya. Our blueprint is also working in Tunisia, where we are strengthening capacities and skills for the use of water a resource around which there will be an increasing geopolitical and sovereignty challenge. But we have chosen to apply this vision to other projects as well, such as the one developed together with the European Gateway, which combines European financial resources and private capital to support the development of coffee production chains in various African nations. And then there is, of course, the centrality of the technical and scientific training, which is crucial to make a difference and must be integrated into a supply chain approach from seed to production to product distribution. In this context, just a few days ago, we signed an agreement for the establishment of a National Agricultural Training Center in Algeria, which will serve as a reference point for the Sahel and the whole of Africa. Our goal, we have stated this on many occasions, is not to create dependency, but to support self-reliance. This goal also involves what we usually refer to as food sovereignty, the right to shape its own production model based on their identity. Food sovereignty means not going along with the standardization of food production, which lowers quality and concentrates wealth, but instead investing in promoting local high-quality products. Small and medium-sized farmers and their families are the backbone of agricultural and environmental systems. They are guardians of the land and must be given the means to live with dignity and with a fair recognition of their work. And this is why Italy, with its network of institutions, businesses, and protection consortia, is ready to do its part to promote the export of African geographical indication to European and global markets by building promotion and distribution network. So, dear Deputy Secretary Mohammed, dear Prime Minister Abiy, colleagues, Cicero, one of the most important philosophers of ancient Rome, said that of all the arts from which some profits is gained, none is better than agriculture, none more profitable, none sweeter, none more worthy of a free man. Thousands of years later, this teaching is still valid and shows us the way forward. Food is a right, a cultural expression, the pillar of a nation's identity and sovereignty. But it is also the first step towards being truly free, independent, and masters of our own destiny. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency Giorgia Meloni, for reflecting on Italy's ambition and commitment. Excellencies, while he cannot be with us today in person, please direct your attention to the screen for a video message from His Excellency Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations.
Thank you. Thank you. Excellencies, dear friends, I thank the government and people of Ethiopia and the Italian government for co-hosting this important gathering. I regret that circumstances have kept me from joining you in person. 4 years ago, the world came together for the first UN Food System Summit, anchored in the understanding that food systems are about more than food. They're about health, nutrition, climate, decent work, justice, and the right to a better future. Since then, we have seen progress. 2/3 of countries have integrated food systems transformation into national development plans. Over 100 have aligned food strategies with climate and biodiversity goals. 55 countries are advancing efforts with national conveners and strong engagement from businesses, civil society, indigenous peoples, youth, and farmers.
The UN system, including through the UN Food Systems Coordination Hub, is their partner every step of the way. Last year's Pact for the Future reaffirmed our shared commitment to food systems that are inclusive, sustainable, equitable, resilient, and rooted in human rights. But progress is not fast or fair enough. Hunger is rising, trade shocks are pushing food prices out of reach. 1/3 of the world's people cannot afford a healthy diet, while 1/3 of the world's food is lost or wasted. The hidden costs of our food systems on health, nature, and human suffering exceed $10 trillion a year. That's more than 3 times the GDP of the African continent. This is not just a crisis of scarcity, it is a crisis of equity and climate. Nearly 40% of the global workforce is linked to food systems, yet many remain trapped in poverty. Climate change is disrupting harvests, supply chains, and humanitarian response. Conflicts continues to drive hunger from Gaza to Sudan and beyond. Hunger feeds further instability and undermines peace. We must never accept hunger as a weapon of war. Dear friends, we know what works. Every dollar invested in nutrition can return up to 3. Sustainable food systems can advance all 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and transformation is underway. Governments are leading the way, integrating food systems into climate strategies, biodiversity frameworks, and national budgets. They're empowering women and youth, scaling up nutritious school meals, and investing in agroecology. Look no further than Ethiopia, where investments, action, and climate-aligned food policy are reducing import dependence and creating jobs. But governments cannot do it alone. The private sector must play a vital role, from innovation and logistics to finance and investments. We need responsible business practices aligned with the public good. We need bold leadership and enforceable guidelines for corporate accountability. We must build on new partnerships like the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty and scale up action across sectors. Looking ahead, I see 3 urgent priorities. Break down silos. Food systems are everyone's business. We need integrated policies and a global framework that connects agriculture to people, their health, climate, trade, and finance. We must also harness new technologies, including artificial intelligence, to boost production, reduce waste, and create decent jobs across the value chain. Second, address power imbalance. We must govern food systems fairly, tackle inequality, and deliver on the right to food for all. That means elevating the voices of women, youth, farmers, indigenous peoples, and local actors. Third, unlock and connect finance at scale. Transformation requires investment. We need debt relief, greater access to concessional finance, and reform of the global financial system to give developing countries representation that reflects the realities of today's global economy. We need climate action, including at COP30, to close the adaptation and combine climate funding with food systems and accelerate the just transition. And above all, we need peace, so that investments can take root and farmers can look to the future with confidence. Excellencies, dear friends, the future of food is the future of humanity. Let us work together to build food systems that nourish every person and grow prosperity from the ground up. Thank you.
Thank you to His Excellency Secretary General Guterres. Your Excellencies, we now proceed with high-level statements from heads of states, governments, and the African Union. It is an honor to welcome His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya.
Your Excellency Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, Your Excellency Giorgio Meloni, Prime Minister of Italy, Your Excellency Amina Mohammed, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. 4 years ago, the United Nations convened the inaugural Food Systems Summit to galvanize global transformation in the way we produce, process, distribute, and consume food. The summit aimed bold and transformative actions to reshape global food value chains in support of the Sustainable Development Goals. 2 years later, at our first global stocktake, we renewed our commitment to maintain this momentum. We take stock once more. The picture is mixed. Undeniably, we have made meaningful and significant progress in providing the world with more sufficient, safe, and nutritious food, contributing to reductions in poverty and hunger. The global food system now contributes between 10% and 12% of global GDP, translating to about $8 trillion or $10 trillion annually. This progress has improved livelihoods, created new opportunities, and raised living standards for millions worldwide. However, this encouraging trajectory is not universal. Starvation, malnutrition, and undernutrition remain a harsh daily reality for far too many. At the same time, health challenges such as obesity and diet-related diseases are increasing at an alarming rate, causing illness and hampering socioeconomic development. Environmental pressures, including climate change, water and air pollution, biodiversity loss, and soil degradation are causing productivity losses nearly equivalent to 12% of global GDP. Data further reveals that current food systems account for over a third of greenhouse gas emissions, 80% of biodiversity loss, and significant pollution globally. These issues are worsened by widespread poverty and rapid demographic shifts, conflicts, high costs of nutritious diets, and weak governance structures. Food markets, while a source of hope, are increasingly volatile. Despite positive production forecasts, erratic weather, trade tensions, and supply chain disruptions are driving up food prices. The Food Agricultural Organization's 2024 State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World, SOFI report, affirms these concerns. It points out that with left to 2030, we are not on track to meet our hunger and nutrition targets. Yet, the report also offers hope that the world can still reverse these trends, but only if we urgently and reorient the architecture of global food systems. Excellencies, we must act on this hope. It is still possible to reorganize global food systems to accelerate progress towards the SDGs and broader sustainability goals. This requires coordinated focus on 6 key priority areas. First, we must integrate food system strategies into national policies. A unified value chain approach can address interconnected challenges from food and nutrition insecurity to public health and environmental degradation, including climate change. Second, we must strengthen the governance of food systems. Fragmented global responses are counterproductive, and we need stronger policy coherence, greater transparency and accountability, including evidence-based decision-making and capacity building at all levels. Third, research, technology, and innovation hold immense promise for transformation. We must support academic and research institutions with the infrastructure they require, while significantly scaling up investment in digital technologies, artificial intelligence, and climate-smart agriculture. Fourth, transformation must be inclusive. Smallholder farmers, especially women and youth, have the potential to feed far more people than they are doing now. They need our support. Indigenous people and local communities are custodians of valuable traditions, and their full participation must be integrated into decision-making responses. Fifth, the Green Climate Fund estimates that global private sector manages over $210 trillion in climate investments and private equity. We must strengthen our engagement with this sector to unlock the capital necessary for the transformation of food systems. And finally, and of critical importance, we must improve access to finance. Tailored financial products are essential for smallholder farmers, startups, and agripreneurs. We must also promote digital financial solutions such as M-Pesa, which in my country enables every citizen to access financial services instantly and securely. Public-private partnerships are indispensable. We must deepen collaboration with financial institutions, both public and private, to leverage their power and catalyze investment, scale up solutions, and deliver meaningful change. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have a solemn obligation to ensure adequate, healthy, and sustainable food for all, to promote shared prosperity, and to safeguard a resilient planet. Let us take ambitious, concrete, scalable, and timely actions to align food systems with our commitment to achieving zero hunger by 2030. I reaffirm my steadfast commitment and that of the government of Kenya to work with all stakeholders in realizing this calling. I thank you.
We thank you, Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. It is our privilege to welcome His Excellency Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, President of the Federal Republic of Somalia.
Your Excellency, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic, Your Excellency Giorgia Meloni, the President of Council of Ministers of the Republic of Italy, Her Excellency Mrs. Amina Mohammed, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Your Excellencies, Heads of States and Governments, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor to address this distinguished summit at the time the world stands at the crossroads, facing convergent crisis and unprecedented demands on our food systems. This gathering is not only timely, but essential. We are summoned here not merely to reflect, but to renew our shared commitment to building sustainable, resilient, and inclusive food systems for all. As we grapple with overlapping global crises, armed conflicts, climate shocks, food insecurity, widening economic disparities, the urgency of transforming how we produce, distribute, and consume food
has never been more pressing than today. For the Federal Republic of Somalia, agriculture is more than a sector. It is the lifeblood of our society, our culture, our survival. It contributes over 70% to our GDP, employs nearly 80% of our population, and generates 85% of our export earning. Despite enduring over 3 decades of socio-economic upheaval, environmental shocks, Somalia's farmers, pastoralists, and fisher communities have demonstrated extraordinary resilience and fortitude in feeding the nation. In Somalia, today is not only a major pillar. In Somalia, livestock is not only a major pillar of our agricultural economy, but also a critical driver of food security, demonstrating the strong link between crop production, animal husbandry, and the resilience of our rural livelihoods. Today, Somalia is charting a new course through the National Transformation Plan. We have identified agriculture as the engine of inclusive economic growth, social cohesion, national recovery. The National Transformation Plan is a yet pragmatic roadmap that prioritizes private sector-led growth, public-private partnership, and comprehensive value chain reform. Under our productive sector ministries are enacting policies and programs that promote climate resilience, strengthening rural livelihoods, and connect our producers to both domestic and export markets. Our commitment to ending poverty and hunger is unwavering. In a country where nearly half of the population lives in rural areas and over 4 million people face acute food insecurity, transforming agriculture is not a choice, but it is a moral obligation and a national necessity. Our newly launched agricultural transformation strategy outlines concrete priorities for governance, productivity, infrastructure, agribusiness, and institutional capacity building. We believe agriculture must not only feed our people, it must create jobs, foster peace, and prepare Somalia for the future. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our journey is anchored in global solidarity and regional integration. Somalia was an early endorser of COP28 Declaration on Sustainable Agriculture, Resilient Food Systems, and Climate Action. We've revised our nationally determined contribution to reflect climate-smart agriculture priorities and have strengthened our water resources management and early warning systems. Somalia remains committed to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, ensuring no one is left behind. We are in the process of actively implementing flagship policies such as the Environmental Management Bill, the Great Green Wall Initiative, and the Green Somalia Campaign, which advances ecosystem restoration and landscape resilience. These global frameworks are being localized and operationalized through national task forces dedicated to climate adaptation, sustainable food systems, and rural development all over Somalia. At the regional level, Somalia is enforcing its commitment under the Kampala Declaration of CAADB and the African Climate Summit outcomes. Our accession to the East African Community and our observer status at COMESA and CFTA reflect Somalia's clear intent to harmonize agricultural policies, expand intra-African trade, and become an active actor in regional food systems. Institutionally, Somalia is reclaiming its place in the global community with the successful completion of the HEBIC debt relief process. We have regained fiscal space and international credibility to attract long-term investment. My administration remains firmly committed to rebuilding state institutions, decentralizing services, and entrenching inclusive governance. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, while our progress is real, our challenges remain formidable. Poverty is still widespread. Food insecurity persists. Climate shocks continue to test our resilience. Like many nations emerging from fragility, Somalia cannot walk this path. We therefore call for strengthened international solidarity and equitable access to climate financing, innovation, and technical assistance. Somalia stands ready to partner with the development banks, UN agencies, private investors, and regional institutions to accelerate transformative action in food systems. In particular, we welcome collaboration around digital agriculture, agro-logistics, climate adaptation, and cross-border trade corridors that will unlock new pathways for our farmers and agribusiness. Food systems transformation is not a theoretical ambition. It is a question of justice, of survival, and sovereignty. For Somalia, food security is peace building, cultural transformation nationwide. Every investment in rural livelihoods is an investment in lasting peace, inclusive growth, and national dignity. Let us seize this momentum. Let us seize this moment to move from promises to tangible progress. Somalia stands to contribute, to lead, and to grow together with its region, continent, and the global large. I thank you.
We thank you very much, Your Excellency Hassan Sheikh Mohamud. We now welcome His Excellency Azali Assoumani, President of the Union of the Comoros.
Excellences, Monsieur Abiy Ahmed Ali, Premier ministre de la République fédérale de l'Éthiopie, Madame Giorgia Meloni, Président du Conseil des ministres de la République d'Italie, Madame Amina Mohamed, représentant le secrétaire général des Nations Unies, Monsieur William Ruto, Président de la République de Kenya, Dr Hassan Sheikh Mohammed, Président de la République fédérale de Somalie, Excellence Monsieur Mahmoud Ali Youssouf, Président de la Commission de l'Union africaine, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, en représentant les chefs de gouvernement, les chefs d'État et de gouvernement, honorable assistance, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. C'est avec un profond sentiment de responsabilité que je prends la parole aujourd'hui au nom du peuple comorien à l'occasion de cette deuxième conférence de suivi du sommet des Nations Unies sur le système alimentaire. À cette occasion, je tiens à remercier chaleureusement le gouvernement et le peuple de la République fédérale démocratique d'Éthiopie pour l'hospitalité exemplaire ainsi que la République d'Italie, le système des Nations Unies pour la bonne organisation de cet important rendez-vous. Honorable assistance, mesdames et messieurs, notre rencontre intervient à un moment critique pour l'avenir de l'humanité. En effet, les systèmes alimentaires mondiaux sont confrontés à des défis multiples. Urgence climatique, instabilité géopolitique, insécurité, croissance démographique et inégalité persistante. Et pourtant, ces systèmes sont également porteurs de solutions, d'opportunités et d'espoir. Au niveau mondial, tandis que 700 millions de personnes souffrent de faim, 1,26 milliard de gens pourraient être nourris avec la nourriture perdue et gaspillée chaque année, selon les données du Programme alimentaire mondial. Avec la volonté, le monde est capable de produire assez d'aliments, de transformer et de les faire parvenir aux consommateurs en améliorant la performance et la résilience des systèmes alimentaires mondiaux pour atteindre l'objectif faim zéro. Au niveau du continent africain, nous disposons d'un immense potentiel, notamment des terres fertiles, des ressources abondantes et le dynamisme de notre jeunesse. Mais nous restons exposés à l'insécurité alimentaire, à la malnutrition et nous sommes victimes du changement climatique, des pertes post-récolte et de la défaillance des chaînes d'approvisionnement. Il est urgent d'autonomiser et de transformer les systèmes alimentaires africains. Mesdames et messieurs, aux Comores, nous avons fait de la transformation du système alimentaire une priorité nationale, alignée sur notre plan Comores émergent à l'horizon 2030. Notre ambition est claire, bâtir un modèle agricole compétitif, résilient, durable, inclusif, garantissant la sécurité alimentaire de nos populations tout en stimulant la croissance économique rurale. C'est pourquoi, depuis 2021, nous avons engagé un processus structurant à travers l'adoption d'une feuille de route nationale de transformation et la mise en œuvre effective de programmes ambitieux structurés autour des priorités nationales, dont notamment la résilience climatique, le renforcement de la gouvernance agricole, l'intensification durable de la production, le développement de filières à forte valeur ajoutée, la sécurité sanitaire et nutritionnelle et enfin l'inclusion économique des jeunes et des femmes. Parmi les réalisations, nous services de la société de garantie et des centres ruraux de développement économique, l'amélioration du secteur de la santé animale, du contrôle de qualité alimentaire, de l'analyse des sols, la subvention pour les intrants agricoles, le lancement de concours, de plans d'affaires, la réhabilitation de pistes rurales et l'adoption du code de l'élevage et la création des pôles avicoles. De nombreux défis persistent pour accroître les dépenses publiques agricoles, étendre les programmes agriculture climato-intelligente, renforcer l'inclusion financière et l'accès au crédit rural pour les petits producteurs. Honorable assistance, mesdames et messieurs, l'Union des Comores appelle à un appui renforcé de nos partenaires techniques et financiers pour consolider cette dynamique. Nous plaidons pour la mise en place d'un Fonds national d'appui à l'agriculture, doté de mécanismes innovants pour financer notre transition agroécologique, stimuler les chaînes de valeur et renforcer notre résilience face aux aléas climatiques. Nous appelons à une solidarité internationale accrue envers les petits États insulaires en développement qui subissent de plein fouet les effets du changement climatique. Et permettez-moi, parce que je suis bien placé pour le dire, parce que je préside pour le moment à la Commission de l'océan Indien. Une solidarité internationale accrue envers les petits États. Enfin, je réaffirme l'engagement indéfectible de l'Union des Comores à contribuer à la réalisation des objectifs du développement durable de l'agenda 2063 de l'Union africaine et du pacte Nairobi pour des systèmes alimentaires africains durables. La transformation de notre système alimentaire n'est pas une option, c'est une exigence de dignité, de justice et de souveraineté. Je vous remercie de votre attention.
Following, we welcome His Excellency Jeremiah Kung, Vice President of Liberia. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege to welcome His Excellency Kashim Shettima, Vice President of Nigeria.
Your Excellency Abiy Ahmed, the game-changing Prime of the People's Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. Your Excellency Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister and President of the Council of Ministers of the Republic of Italy. Your Excellency Amina Mohamed, the Secretary General, Deputy Secretary General of the UN. Your Excellency William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya. Your Excellency Dr. Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, President of the Republic of Somalia. Your Excellency Azali Assoumani, President of the Union of the Comoros. Your Excellencies, Vice Presidents and Heads of Delegation, the AU Commission Secretary General, other heads of multilateral institutions, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. From different continents have united to host us speaks volumes. It is a reminder that the storms we seek to weather do not respect geography. Food insecurity is no longer a shadow lurking in distant lands. It is a shared affliction. Whether you live by the banks of the Niger or the banks of the Tiber River, you will find the same truth. The waters that divide us do not discriminate. That is why we must learn to swim. That is why we are here, in this ancient city, where memory and meaning meet, to set sail once again towards a future anchored in abundance, equity, and human dignity. Let me begin by extending the warmest gratitude on behalf of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola, and the good people of Nigeria, gracious hosts, the governments and peoples of Ethiopia and Italy, for creating this moment of global reflection. Since 2021, when we unveiled our national food systems transformation pathway, Nigeria has journeyed with a clear compass. We have pursued institutional reforms with vigor. We have rolled out targeted investments in infrastructure and human capacity. We have deepened partnerships across sectors and prioritized agro-industrialization as a key driver of inclusive growth. Our declaration of a national emergency on food security was not a cry of alarm. It's the reason we are advancing the presidential initiative on food security, a mission designed to upscale the cultivation of vital staples, maize, rice, and wheat. We are backing this with climate-smart innovations, financial inclusion for smallholder farmers, and an expansion of extension services, particularly for women and youth. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, we have enshrined nutrition as the head of our development vision. Food and nutrition are now central pillars of both the National Development Plan 2021 to 2025 and the Nigeria Agenda 2050. We have made it clear that nutrition is not an appendix to our aspirations. It is a foundation. The fourth industrial revolution has not only disrupted the old order, but gifted us instruments that were once confined to the imagination. Artificial intelligence, geospatial analytics, and satellite-driven climate intelligence are now part of our agricultural vocabulary. We have tools to monitor production, enhance transparency, connect producers to markets, and reduce waste across the value chain. Our faith in the capacity of our people remains unshaken. In partnership with the African Development Bank, Islamic Development Bank, and IPAD, we are investing in special agro-industrial processing zones. These hubs are not just places of production, they are engines of transformation. They are creating jobs, attracting private capital, and linking rural producers to national and global markets. But production is not enough. We believe that a sustainable food system must also be a healthy one. Nigeria has therefore scaled up investment in school feeding programs, nutrition-sensitive agriculture, and community-driven nutrition education. Through the Nutrition 4 initiative, we are placing all of Nigeria's 774 local governments at the center of nutrition delivery. In doing so, we are making the sustainable development goals local. We are transforming pledges into meals. The Federal Executive Council has approved the National Multi-Sectoral Plan of Action for Food and Nutrition, which serves as the implementation arm of our revised National Food and Nutrition Policy. We have also directed the establishment of nutrition departments in all relevant ministries. These are the building blocks of institutional reform and the architecture of nutrition governance. Your Excellencies, this is more than a summit. This is a reckoning. The world is changing before our eyes. The scars of conflict, the uncertainties of climate, the distortions of markets, and the missteps in policy are all calling us to renew our commitment to multilateralism. We must act, and we must act. We are under no illusions. The road ahead is long and lined with complexities, but we are not paralyzed by fear. We understand that the world we desire will not emerge from declarations alone. It must be built with patience and persistence, with bold ideas and careful planning, with shared resolve and shared responsibility. Nigeria is ready to listen. Nigeria is ready to learn. Nigeria is ready to lead wherever leadership is required. We are here to champion food systems that are resilient in the face of climate shocks, responsive to nutritional needs, and rooted in local realities. We are here because we believe that the arc of history does not only bend towards justice, it bends towards food justice. Let us live at this, not with diplomatic pleasantries, but with a conviction. A broken food system in any part of the world diminishes the dignity of humanity as a whole. Let us rise with a shared purpose. Let us build a wall. Why no child sleeps on an empty stomach? Why no farmer is forgotten? And where put? It's not a luxury, but a human right. Thank you for your attention.
We thank you, Your Excellency Kashim Shettima. At this point, we warmly welcome Her Excellency Jessica Alupo, Vice President of Uganda.
Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, Your Excellency Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Italy, Your Excellency Amina Mohammed, the Deputy UN Secretary General, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Your Excellency, the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, dear distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you warm greetings from your brother, His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda, and indeed all the people of Uganda. And in the same vein, allow me to extend my appreciation to Your Excellency Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, and all the people of Ethiopia for the high-level courtesy offered to all of us since our arrival here in Ethiopia. Excellencies, the 2025 UN Food System Summit Stocktake is a crucial opportunity to reassess efforts, share progress, renew commitment, and accelerate transformation in ways that are inclusive, people-centered, and context-specific. Uganda is committed to this process and appreciates the Federal Republic of Ethiopia and the government of Italy, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, African Union member states, and all partners for convening the UN Food Systems Summit. Excellencies, the food systems agenda sits at the nexus of health, climate change, trade, economic resilience, and human rights. For Africa, transforming food systems is not an option, but essential to achieving sustainable development, regional stability, and economic empowerment. Uganda reaffirms its commitment to building resilient, inclusive, and sustainable food systems that ensure equitable, safe, nutritious, and affordable food for all. Our country has undertaken steps to implement its commitments, including but not limited to the following. Firstly, development of a national food systems transformation pathway. Second, establishment of the National Food Systems Coordination Committee and creation of the Food and Agricultural Regulatory Authority. Uganda's food system transformation strategy is firmly integrated in the current National Development Plan 4, which commenced on 1st July 2025, and it will go to June 2030, and it is anchored on the 5 pillars of sustainable industry, private sector growth, human capital development, infrastructure development, and governance, and security. As a proactive commitment to this strategy, Uganda launched the Parish Development Model as a flagship vehicle for grassroots transformation. A parish is the smallest administrative unit and a hub of economic planning and implementation. While Uganda's school feeding initiative is more than a nutrition or education program, it is a systemic intervention that integrates local agriculture, health, and community engagement. These initiatives exemplify how Uganda is coordinating multi-sectoral programs, food systems, and health and education. In conclusion, therefore, Excellencies, as we gather here in Addis for the UN Food Systems Summit, Uganda on member states and stakeholders to move from dialogue to action. We deepen global collaboration, scale up innovative financing mechanisms, and unlock the transformative potential of local and indigenous solutions. Let us commit ourselves to the vision that no child, no man should go to bed hungry, and that safe, affordable, and nutritious food is not a privilege for a few, but a right to all. Together, Uganda stands ready to work with partners on the continent and beyond to achieve this. Our commitment is firm and our resolve is strong. I thank you for your kind attention.
We thank you, Your Excellency Jessica Alupo. Following, it is a distinct pleasure to welcome His Excellency Dr. Eduardo Martinez Diaz, Deputy Prime Minister of Cuba.
Excelencia Abiy Ahmed, Primer Ministro de Etiopía, Vicesecretaria General Mohamed, Giorgia Meloni, Primera Ministra
Your Excellency Giorgia Meloni, President of the Council of Ministers of the Italian Republic, Your Excellencies, I have the honor of speaking here on behalf of the government of Cuba
a las Naciones Unidas y a los gobiernos de la República Democrática Federal de Etiopía y de la República Italiana.
I would like to greet the representatives of Ethiopia and Italy and the United States nations.
La hospitalidad del gobierno y el pueblo etíope y de esta histórica
I'd like to thank the people and the government of Ethiopia for the hospitality
de las Naciones Unidas para América.
And the Latin American, Caribbean Commission of the United Nations. It's important to contribute in and putting development at the very center of our work. We would like to reaffirm
del Sur demanda la movilización conjunta y solidaria de todos. En correspondencia con los objetivos y prioridades de desarrollo de cada nación, los intereses de su pueblo y las demandas y tradiciones alimentarias, debemos promover de cooperación en el sector agrícola que permitan crear plataformas para sistemas alimentarios con un enfoque de protección social en el que sean protagonistas también los jóvenes, las mujeres y las comunidades rurales. Es imprescindible que multipliquemos la colaboración en nuestros países, priorizando el intercambio de experiencias en seguridad, soberanía y autosuficiencia alimentaria, nutrición, salud, ciencia e innovación, agroecología, extensionismo agrario, tratamiento adecuado a las pérdidas y desperdicios de alimentos y políticas públicas para la transformación de los sistemas alimentarios. Excelencias, será posible mientras prevalezca el actual injusto orden internacional en que billones de dólares se destinan cada año al gasto militar y en el que muchos somos víctimas de medidas coercitivas unilaterales que lastran nuestras aspiraciones. Un orden internacional incapaz de impedir que en Palestina, víctimas de genocidio cometido por Israel, la potencia ocupante, los habitantes de Franja de Gaza se enfrenten a una grave crisis de alimentos y cientos mueran de desnutrición y hambre, entre ellos niños y ancianos. Un orden internacional en que crueles medidas coercitivas unilaterales, como el bloqueo económico, comercial y financiero que impone desde hace más de 60 años el gobierno de Estados Unidos al pueblo cubano, recrudeciendo a niveles sin precedentes, y la inclusión de Cuba en la unilateral y arbitraria lista de patrocinadores del terrorismo, actúan como bombas atómicas silenciosas, lastrando el derecho de mi pueblo al desarrollo. Esta cruel guerra económica no nos permite establecer una agricultura capaz de cubrir todas las demandas alimentarias de nuestra población, al no contar con los insumos productivos imprescindibles como fertilizantes, plaguicidas, insumos energéticos, maquinaria, implementos agrícolas y sus piezas de repuesto, sistemas de riego, entre otros. A pesar de los retos que debemos enfrentar, Cuba no renuncia a buscar soluciones creativas que nos permitan avanzar y contrarrestar el impacto del bloqueo. La Ley de Soberanía Alimentaria y Seguridad Alimentaria y Nutricional, aprobada en el año 2022, facilita el accionar conjunto de todas las instituciones, asociaciones y estructuras nacionales y locales vinculadas a la producción de alimentos, con el soporte principal del desarrollo agroecológico y su demostrada protección al medio ambiente, y con tecnologías posibles a producir en cada comunidad o incluso en cada predio del productor y familias. Señoras y señores, los recursos para erradicar el hambre y temas alimentarios están disponibles. Solo hace falta la voluntad política y compromiso para usarlos en beneficio de los pueblos. La cooperación sur-sur ha demostrado que con la solidaridad y la determinación es posible promover la seguridad alimentaria. Urge que la comunidad internacional actúe unida y sin demora para contribuir sistemas alimentarios justos, inclusivos y sostenibles que aseguren el derecho humano a la alimentación sin dejar a nadie atrás. Concluyo recordando al comandante en jefe Fidel Castro Ruz, líder de la Revolución Cubana, quien hace 6 años nos alertaba: el hambre, inseparable compañera de los pobres, es hija de la desigualdad de distribución de las riquezas y de la justicia de este mundo. Las campanas que doblan hoy por los que mueren de hambre cada día, doblarán mañana por la humanidad entera. No supo o no pudo ser suficientemente sabia para salvarse a sí mismo. Fin de la cita. Muchas gracias.
We thank you very much, Your Excellency, Dr. Eduardo Martinez Diaz. And now, to conclude this segment, please welcome His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, Chairperson of the African Union Commission.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Excellence Dr. Abiy Ahmed Ali, Premier ministre de la République fédérale et démocratique d'Éthiopie. Excellence Madame Giorgia Meloni, Premier ministre d'Italie. Excellence Mesdames et Messieurs les chefs d'État et de gouvernement. Excellence Madame la Secrétaire générale adjointe des Nations Unies, Mesdames et Messieurs. Ce deuxième sommet des Nations Unies sur l'inventaire des systèmes alimentaires vient à point nommé. Je remercie les Nations Unies pour cette importante initiative, ainsi que les deux coprésidents. En effet, la transformation du système alimentaire mondial est un impératif majeur. À cet instant crucial, combien d'enfants et de mères sur le continent dorment le ventre vide? Des millions certainement. La situation ne fait aucun doute. Ce sommet des Nations Unies de 2021 a posé les jalons de ce processus de transformation. Lors de ce deuxième sommet, il nous appartient de décupler d'efforts en nous focalisant sur des actions concertées et plus incisives. Certes, le continent africain dispose d'un potentiel énorme en matière de production alimentaire. Cependant, les défis à la sécurité alimentaire persistent. Les chocs climatiques, les conflits et les perturbations économiques, ainsi que les inégalités structurelles en sont, entre autres, les principales raisons. 282 millions d'Africains sont malnutris. 52 millions de personnes vivent en situation d'insécurité alimentaire et près de 3,4 millions sont au bord de la famine. 10 millions de personnes sont déplacées en raison de la sécheresse, des inondations ou des cyclones. Dois-je le rappeler, l'Afrique ne contribue qu'à hauteur de 4% d'émissions de gaz à effet de serre et pourtant, notre continent subit de plein fouet les conséquences des changements climatiques. L'Afrique a élaboré sa stratégie sur la sécurité alimentaire en 2021 autour de 4 grands axes. Une agriculture intelligente, mécanisée et résiliente, l'innovation et la technologie dans les fleurons de l'agribusiness, vers la ZLECAf en maîtrisant progressivement la chaîne de valeur et la stratégie décennale de développement de l'agriculture en Afrique qui affiche des objectifs très ambitieux. En janvier 2025, nos chefs d'État ont adopté la déclaration de Kampala qui se concentre sur la transformation du système de production alimentaire. D'abord, en augmentant les investissements dans la résilience nutritionnelle et les infrastructures rurales, en mobilisant 100 milliards de dollars afin de combler le déficit de financement, en demandant aux États membres de consacrer 10% de leur budget à l'agriculture et en mettant en œuvre une gouvernance inclusive. Your Excellencies, this is not rhetoric, it is a resolution. But we cannot do this alone. We call on our global partners to honor their commitments, unlock financing, and support African-led solutions. We must strengthen accountability mechanisms, track progress transparently, and ensure that no one is left behind, in particular women, youth, and vulnerable communities who are the backbone of our food systems. UN Food Summit is not just a moment of stock-taking. It is a moment of solidarity and action. Let us seize this opportunity to deepen collaboration, scale up innovation, and build food systems that are resilient, equitable, and sustainable for Africa and for the world at large. Let us leave this summit not with declarations, but not with promises, but with progress. Together, let us nourish hope, cultivate resilience, and harvest a future where the right to food is a reality for all. I thank you for your kind attention.
We thank you very much, Your Excellency Mah Yusuf, Chairperson of the African Union Commission. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed, let us now hear from Liberia. It is an honor to welcome Jeremiah Kung, Vice President of Liberia. Welcome.
Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Her Excellency Giorgia Manalo, Prime Minister of Italy, Head of States and Government, the Honorable Abina J. Mohammed, Deputy Secretary of the Nations, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you greetings from Excellency Joseph Yuma Boakai, Senior, President of the Republic of Liberia, and the people of Liberia. I extend warm greetings and profound appreciation to our gracious host, Ethiopia and Italy, for convening this very important appraisal summit. 4 years after the inaugural United Nations Food Systems Summit We convene once more to assess progress, recalibrate our strategy, and accelerate our collective journey towards sustainable, inclusive, and resilient food system. For Liberia, these system agricultural processes, they are engines of peace, platform of equity, and the pillar of national resilience. Through our national pathway for food system transformation, Liberia has prioritized 3 key areas: nutrition-sensitive agriculture to combat stunting and malnutrition affecting our most vulnerable populations; climate-smart agriculture, practices developed in partnership with local farmers and cooperatives; inclusive governance framework that meaningfully engage youth, women, and traditional marginalized communities. However, the true measure of this summit lies not in status, but in accountability. We must honestly ask ourselves, are our actions effectively addressing the hunger that breeds despair? Are our systems reaching the communities where policies have historically fallen short? Liberia recognizes that sustainable transformation requires robust regional cooperation. We reaffirm our unwavering commitment to the African Union Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program and its strategy aligning with Sustainable Development Goals. We also underscore the critical link between food security and peace building. And this is particularly relevant for conflict-affected states and fragile states. As we look forward to the future, Liberia pledges a continued support to the United Nations Food System Agenda. We want to remember the United Nations Food System Summit, not just for its declaration, but for its role in mobilizing for food security. Let us invest not only in agricultural yield, but in sustainable stability, human dignity, resilience, and the lasting transformation for future generations. May the spirit of unity and the shared purpose guide our deliberation towards meaningful outcome. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeremiah Kung, Your Excellency Vice President of Liberia. At this point, we invite the esteemed co-hosts and the UN Deputy Secretary General to take their seats and join the audience. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Join us in celebrating our esteemed co-hosts. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. Ladies and gentlemen, we now proceed with our panel discussion. Let us now shift gears. We transition to an engaging discussion on what will be a priority on the coming 2 days, how to unlock the investments that we need in food systems and ensure that these investments actually deliver for people and the planet. We will have a multi-stakeholder panel for this important discussion that will help us start to explore the bold strategies and partnerships needed to accelerate transformation. Please allow me to introduce our esteemed panelists. First, Mr. Peter Backer, President of the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. Mr. Peter Backer, you're most welcome. Next, Mr. Luigi Scordamaglia, CEO of Filiera Italia. Welcome, Mr. Scordamaglia. We also have a vital voice from the grassroots, a representative from East African Farmers Association, Elizabeth Nsimadala. Welcome, Elizabeth. And finally, representing the future of our food systems, a youth representative, Dina Kabede. Welcome, Dina. A warm welcome to all of you. Peter, let me start with you. Your organization, World Business Council for Sustainable Development, has helped lead on the business engagements of this stocktake together with the FAO and the UN Global Compact. Why for you through this engagement? What have you learned and what's important to address over the coming 2 days?
Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, before I say anything on the food system, not hearing me.
Wait.
You're not hearing me? Okay, now you do.
Now we can hear you.
Now you hear me. Before I talk about the food system, I would share my thoughts on an amazing man called David Nabarro. Without his push, without his support, my organization would 4 years ago not have engaged in it. And I know that many of us here in the room owe a large amount of gratitude to this man. We will all dearly miss him. So thank you, Ethiopia, and thank you, Italy, for hosting the Food System Summit +4. Like was said, FAO, UN Global Compact, and WBCSD together have left the business engagement this year. We took this because without business, we cannot transform the food systems. But business also realizes it cannot lead this transformation on its own. As the leaders expressed this morning, the world has become a complex place, and the food system no less. And business is not immune to these pressures. Changes in politics, trade uncertainties, AI, and economic are forming the agendas in boardrooms. And yet, business is here. More than 300 business leaders participate in the Food System Summit this week. I'm very proud that today we are launching a compendium with 15 successful co-investment models showing how business drives scale across value chains. This is not PR, but these are real-world examples of system shifts, showing that business can deploy capital, scale innovation for climate and nutrition, build inclusive economies. But this compendium also shows the barriers: regulatory fragmentation, weak incentives, and short-termism, and common threats. And I think those are inspiring for the meeting. Our risk sharing is needed, partnerships between finance, policy, and business, and policy support. So when Maxime, Sanda, and myself and our teams designed the business engagement for this week, we concluded on 3 tracks. The first one is demonstrate progress, and the compendium is the way to look into that. The second track is unlocking investments. What you will see this week throughout the program is countries presenting their investment plans, SMEs pitching their innovations for finance. And the last track is public-private collaboration and accountability. So what business needs is policy coherence. The second thing is business welcomes accountability, but seeks a global standard, patchworks of mandates. Business hopes to achieve here this week responsive, agile, and fast-scaling partnerships. And what you should ask from business is no more promises, no more commitments, but action, implementation, and delivery. So I invite you on behalf of my colleagues to read to join the climate investment or the country investment plans throughout this week, to join the SME pitches, because that's where innovation lives, and to join the investment dialogue. If we can match ambition with alignment amongst governments, finance, and business, if we can match delivery with trust, then we are building an equitable, net zero, nature positive food system that can nourish. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter. How insightful that was. Let me come to you next, Luigi. You lead an association that represents Italian businesses and Italian farmers united in an integrated production model based on inclusivity and sustainability. And currently, you're also applying this model in numerous African countries with an innovative form of public-private partnership. Can you tell us about this model and give us some concrete examples of its application in Africa and the success stories that you've seen so far?
Thanks, Chairman, for your question. But first of all, let me say that it's a great honor for me to be able to represent the Italian food and agricultural supply chain at this important event, and which I'm very proud is co-hosted also by Italy. As already said this morning, we need to find together the most sustainable, inclusive, productive models to guarantee the future global food security. And I will try in these few minutes to explain why the Italian agri-food system that can represent an ideal model of efficient, sustainable production cooperation to reach this goal. Italy is the leading country in Europe for agriculture added value, more than 42 billion agriculture added value, the highest in Europe, but with the lowest environmental impact, with the lowest level of CO2 emission. And to do this, in Italy, we have two very simple secrets. First, respect the land, which we must leave every year more fertile than before. And second, respect the farmers, especially family farmers who are the backbone of our production system. To respect the land, avoiding exploiting it, we have developed the most advanced technology, precision farming, smart irrigation, data-driven agriculture, and satellite management to produce more with less inputs. And to respect small farmers, we have developed supply chain models in which large companies do not compete with the small ones, but are linked to them through the transfer of know-how, technology, and through the consolidation of supply chain based on long-term commitment between farmers and processing industry. And this is why we are the ideal partner for the African continent, which is complementary to us and has everything we lack: land, as water, but above all, as a network of family farmers who are the only ones capable of guaranteeing true food democracy for a future. And this is why, thanks also to the vision of our government, this perfect synergy between Italy and Africa has given rise to concrete partnership based on this value and based on two innovative elements compared to the past. First, an effective public-private partnership, where the role of the public is not just that of a mere assistentialism as in the past, but rather of the creation of the perfect environment, provide financial support for partnership between private Italian companies, mainly small and medium enterprises, and the local supply chains in Africa. The second distinctive aspect of our approach is the constant enhancement of local networks of family farmers, which are always the foundation of our partnerships in Africa. true food democracy, the food supply of the future, cannot be in the hands of few multinational or few countries that use it as a tool of geopolitical control, but it must be guaranteed by strengthening the network of family farmers and rural people. There are no shortcuts, no alternative shortcuts to this. But you asked me some practical examples, successful example, and I take the example of BF Group, Bonifiche Ferraresi, and ARIA project. The BF Group today represents the largest Italian agro-industrial operator that, through the direct and indirect management of over 5 million hectares, ensure control over the entire food chain, but together with hundreds of thousands of farmers. And the ARIA project, implemented by BF together with the Directorate General for Italian Development Cooperation of a Minister of Foreign Affairs, with the support of the government, of Minister of Agriculture, is a perfect this public-private partnership. Today, the project is included in the countries of Mattei plan that my Prime Minister mentioned, and consists of the construction of model farms called Be Future Farms. And through joint venture with the local economic actors, this farm create high-tech agro-industrial production platform in these African countries. In this project, this is very important, there is no land purchase, there is no export of food abroad, but the entire production is intended.
Indeed, Luigi. And if you were to put it in a sentence, what would you say?
I think that there is no some of our partnership that can take advantage. We work together with the African country. We work together with a win-win approach. We work with this large company to valorize the family farmers. And very important, last second, we have another project complementary to the large company at the entire chain, that is the Mediterranean African Markets Initiatives for the development of short supply chain, a farmers market, to give farmers more income. So together, according to a win-win approach, and we will continue, we will promote, I hope, together with you, this kind of private-public partnership. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Luigi. Now on to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, without farmers and fisher folk, there are no products in our food systems, which is why we're very glad to have you here on stage. Let me ask you, where do you see the priorities for investment from the perspective of farmers, and what are the constraints to ensuring that finance reaches smallholders?
Thank you very much. As introduced, I'm a Ugandan smallholder farmer, and I represent 25 million smallholder farmers under the Eastern Africa Farmers Federation. But I'm also here representing millions of family farmers globally. So I want to respond to your question by picking 4 keywords that I've heard since morning from all the speakers. Investing in smallholder farmers, dignity of smallholder farmers, financing, and climate change. Collectively and globally, we are all investing in green financing. And the whole world is looking at becoming climate proof. We're working and looking forward to having markets that are working for everybody. But whatever we are speaking about is at the periphery. The biggest elephant in the room is climate change, because it has no borders. It is an impending challenge that we have to address. Why? I believe if we are to invest in farmers, then we need to focus at climate financing. When you look at the current situation, we all know that climate financing has been leaning to mitigation. We need to see increased financing for adaptation. We also need to see bringing farmers on board and other agriculture actors contributing to the national, to the NDCs. Because where we sit now, we see that because of lack of an inclusive organization framework that creates an enabling environment for all the different actors to contribute to the NDCs, there is a big challenge on how to address agriculture, especially when it comes to climate change. And with all that collectively, it leads to smallholder farmers not being able to access climate finance. We are talking of less than 1% of climate financing being accessed directly by smallholder farmers. And yet, we face the biggest plant of climate change. So what we need to do in terms of investments, we need affirmative action. We need to have a dedicated fund that can be accessed directly by smallholder farmers. About a month ago, we had a meeting in Tanzania where we brought all the farmers globally to discuss access to climate financing. And we had an opportunity to speak to institutions like GCF. But one of the local banks pointed out that they had received more than 100 million US dollars here, but they had only lent 25 million to farmers. And the challenge was because of the punitive collateral requirements. Because a farmer is required to have land as a collateral. Even with land, you're supposed to have 120% of the collateral. And where you don't have land, you're supposed to have 200% of collateral. And this is in form of movable machinery or a functioning storage facility. We need to see investments in reforming the financing landscape, whereby we are able to trace the disbursements of the finances and be able to see where they are making impact. We also need to bring on board a number of accredited entities that are able to receive funds on behalf of the farmers. Investment in de-risking is very critical and important, and we all need to take note of that. As I bring this to the close on the farmer's dignity, and I want your attention. And sorry, on this, when it comes to the farmer's dignity, because everyone spoke about investing in smallholder farmers and spoke about farmers' dignity. About 4 years ago, when we started the Food System Summit, we were glad to sit on the advisory committee. We've been part of this process. And we were pushing for equity, for fairness, for power balance across the entire value chain. We are now demanding dignity. Everyone else in this room earns a salary and is paid to be here in this meeting and has a travel and health insurance. But when you bring farmers to such meetings, you only want to pay for their travel and accommodation, forgetting that farmers have invested a lot at personal level, but also on their farms. And being in this meeting, it means they are losing both in time, but also in business. I'm not sure of how much coffee, for example, has been harvested on my farm today, or how much has been sold on the farm by my workers. So the dignity and the investment that we're demanding is that if it is in these meetings, you need to pay for the value that we are bringing in these discussions. So going forward, every institution that is here, let's try to see how we can pay for the value that the farmers are bringing in such discussion. That is when we shall have more participation of farmers in such dialogues. What we are bringing on board, thank you. And what we are bringing on board, sharing the experience of the farmers, Eastern Africa Farmers Federation, we identified 52 adaptation cases for scaling. We profiled 8 cases. Recently at the SB 62, the Africa Group of Negotiators presented 8 of our cases. And one of our cases is also highlighted in the compendium that Peter talked about. It is on climate resilience, on nutrition and food security with our farmers in Djibouti. So we are trying to co-create a fund that is dedicated for farmers. And we are inviting all of you to join us in making sure that we co-create
this fund. Thank you.
And finally, let us turn our attention to Dina, who has been engaging in the youth process in this summit. Dina, what's exciting your peers to continue in this space? What's motivating them? And what more do we need to do to attract investments in youth-led businesses in our food systems, Dina?
Good morning, Your Excellencies. It is a true honor to stand before you today and present the Youth Voice for Inclusive Food Systems Transformation. I speak to you as a youth leader from Ethiopia and an alumna of the UN Food System Coordination Hub Youth Leadership Program. I come from a rural community where agriculture, it is not just a way of life, it is our foundation for peace, development, and survival. Yet this vital sector is increasingly threatened by climate change and environmental degradation. I am proud to highlight the Ethiopia Green Legacy Initiative, a powerful example of climate action in practice. Our country is actively promoting climate-smart agriculture and advancing a green economy, standing at the forefront of sustainable solutions in food and agriculture. And I'm really honored to be one of a generation of the youth committed to carry this legacy forward. A powerful force is rising, the youth. We are not just advocates. We are architects of solution and leaders of transformation. Grassroots action to global platforms. We are advancing research, driving innovation, and reimagining food systems for the better. We are calling for more than recognition. We are demanding a seat at the decision-making table. Our right to shape policy must be upheld. Our call for the right to food must be realized. And our need for investment in capacity building and mentorship must be met. Today, we urge all stakeholders to let our voice shape policies that uphold the right to food for all human beings without boundaries. Let our solution guide investment in sustainable youth-led innovation. Let our leadership be recognized, supported, and scaled through mentorship, education, and institutional trust. Your Excellencies, the time is now. Now is the moment to build sustainable food systems with youth, not just for youth. We urge all stakeholders to act lead initiatives and ensure we are at the table when decisions are made. We also emphasize the need for continuous follow-up in the stocktake process with clear mechanism to guarantee youth engagement and through training and resources. If we act now with courage, unity, and vision, we will not only feed our people, we will feed their dignity, their future, and their dreams. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dina. What a powerful voice from the youth full of conviction. Now, before we conclude our panel, I'd like to give back the mic to Peter and Luigi for their very short call to action on what we should focus on for the coming 2 days. So allow me, because we had issues.
Thanks. Like I said, there is country investment plans throughout the program this week. There are SME pitches, finance and business support. Those are the meetings to go to because that's where action will happen, where finance meets government, meets business, and that's the way we transform this system.
But I want to repeat that we are perfectly complementary. If you compare Europe, Italy with Africa, we have what you need, you have what we need. There is no a winner, a loser. We need to work together. At the same time, we have to work together with public and private. We have to go over a mere assistantialism of the past. We are very happy what we were able to create with the Italian government, but not only, we need international agency, and I think we need you, and together we can be the solution of our main goal of a future food sustainable security.
Thank you very much to our distinguished panelists, Peter, Elizabeth, and Dina. Join us in warmly escorting them back to their seats. Thank you so much. Important messages were shared. on what the coming 2 days should look like. Excellencies, and now to offer the final remarks and to set the stage for the crucial work ahead, we're honored to hear from the leaders of the 3 Rome-based agencies who are taking the lead in supporting food systems transformation worldwide. Please welcome His Excellency Dr. Chu Dong-yu, Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the FAO. Dr. Chu, you're most welcome. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Thank you. Moderator, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Good morning. It's better. Dear Excellency, DSG, you are still here. I'm happy. And also other colleagues. I saw many ministers traveling to here. You should recognize, if you come here 3 years ago, this city was completely different face. It's not different from any other typical capital of Africa. But today, you're lucky. You enjoy green, clean, lightning, and dynamic. We should start to salute the great leadership of my friend of Ethiopia. I'm pleased to be here with you today in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, the stock taking. After successful first stock taking in Italy at FAO in 2023. 4 years after UN Food System Summit brought agri-food system transformation to be central of the global agenda. My sincere thanks to our hosts, the government of Ethiopia for UNFSS+4 and Italy. As I said, UNFSS+2, and more important, as a FAO host country since 1951. We moved from Washington, D.C. in 1995. For conveying this dialogue as such a pivotal, agri-food system offers a solution for food security and nutritional improvement, adaptation, mitigation to climate crisis, efficient use of natural resources, and equity. The problems are not only a source of challenges, they are also a powerful engine of opportunities. Countries that act across these interconnected dimensions are already seeing returns in resilience, food security, and economic growth, and among others. Since 2022, governments have moved from commitment to implementation, redesigning policies, aligning sectors, and shifting investments. Transformation is underway, including right here in Ethiopia with FAO support. Net export the country for the first time in the history, they can export the wheat. And post-harvest grain losses have been reduced up to 40% in some areas, directly boosting food security and incomes. This stocktaking is essential on the urgent need to accelerate our efforts in transforming agri-food systems. The global context has shifted dramatically. Shocks are more frequent and more complex, and the path forward depends on stronger political will, strategic partnership, and bold investment. Allow me to share 3 thoughts that could help us move from vision to action. First, youth should be recognized as the drivers of agri-food system transformation. That's why I established the FAO Youth Committee at the 9th of September 2019, when I just arrived at FAO. And then 1 month later, on the day of the rural women, 15th of October, I established the FAO Women's Committee. And 2 years ago, I established the first ever in the UN system, a regulated budget support Office of Youth and Women with the 7 staff. You see, I'm very serious to address not only lip service, put a lot of slogan, we need a small action to change, to lead the big impact. Youth are the next generation of the producers, processors, and service providers, and the policymakers. Of course, also young scientists and business people, startups, you name it. They bring in energy, innovation, and a deep stake in a more sustainable future. Early this month, FAO released the first ever global assessment on youth in agri-food systems, which revealed that 85% of the world's 1.3 billion youth living in low middle-income countries. 44% working youth are engaged in agri-food-related jobs. In the coming decade, 1.2 billion youth will enter the job market, but we risk leaving many behind. Closing the gap could boost the global GDP by $1.5 trillion, with nearly half of that growth coming from the agri-food system. That translates into more inclusive access to land, finance, market, education, especially decision-making, especially for youth and young women. Second, technology and innovation are key to overcoming systematic barriers. We must embrace innovation to address the many challenges threatening our agri-food system, from the climate crisis and to hunger and market volatility. Science, technology, and innovation are not only options, they are more essential accelerators, and they are fundamental to turning challenges into opportunities. I hear they are going to leapfrog from traditional gas oil driving transportation system here to the completely EV in the coming 10 years. And that's real revolutionary change. Agriculture also, all the energy sectors support agri-food system. Also, we need a new renewable energy. FAO has well established a World Food Forum with 3 pillars: hand-in-hand investment, science and innovation, empowerment of youth and women, including indigenous people, since 2022, pre-summit and summit. And launch the agri-food system technology, Accio. It's a global for track innovative trend and provide evidence for scaling impactful solutions. Last year, we managed 16,000 participants in person in Rome and 45,000 online. So this year, we are going to celebrate 80th anniversary of FAO, and the coming months and October, we will have more events related. We are used to the 80th anniversary to promote FAO mission and also get more partners to work together. And no surprise, this year will be more than 20,000 participants. Majority are younger than 50 years old. I don't know, I consider 50 years still young. From AI and digital agriculture to climate smarter farming and process technology, we are working to unlock the potential of innovation across the value. Scaling innovation requires investment, partnership. That is why FAO's hand-in-hand initiative. Joining now is about 80 countries and play the vital role. Most of LDC in Africa seeds are joined as hand-in-hand investment partnership. So we promote your investment plan together with World Food Forum. This country-leading initiative uses geospatial targeting and data analyzing to direct the investment where it is needed most. From $1.5 billion in 2022, the hand-in-hand supported the investment has grown over $4.5 billion 2024. So no surprise, this year will be reaching at least $6 billion. I don't know how many activities can bring this concurrent investment for the members with our our UN special land agency. That's our value. Value-added networking. UN still working. Of course, we can do more and better. Don't lose the trust and accountable UN system. That so far is only best system we can available in this world. The third, we needed to have an enabling policy on agri-food system, rural development as a priority, and put the basic human rights of the right to food at the foundation of our work. We must grant our efforts in human dignity and humanity. The right to food provide a normative framework for making agri-food system more efficient, more inclusive, more resilient, and more sustainable, and more equitable. The operation, all the actions, G20 in Brazil has launched the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty, a multiple stakeholder platform that mobilize, coordinate the financing, technical assistance, aligned with the national priority with the technical assistance by FAO. FAO has proud served as a technical backbone since 2021, helping the countries turn their national pathway into the coherent, integrated action. As the UN lead special agency on agri-food system, we support transformation in over 120 countries, not just with advisor, but with tools, science, data, and smart investment. We help countries align agri-food systems transformation with national development plan, agricultural strategy, climate target, and the biodiversity priority and nutrition goal. As Honorable President Ruto pointed out, 6 points. It's fully in line with our mission, our mandate, our priority. FAO flagship initiative, like the hand-in-hand, OCOP, and the digital village, connect food production with the market, value chain, higher productivity, profitability, and sustainability. Our approach is systematic, identifying strategic entry point where the action can generate broad change. Trade-offs exist, but also do powerful synergies. That is how we drive progress across the 4 betters. We start for better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life leaving no one behind. The success story in Ethiopia, not only in capital, in the provincial, in the county town, they are starting. It's a 4 better Ethiopia. Fundamental is good food for all, for tomorrow, and for today, of course. We know fragmented approach create a bottleneck, and members we are showing the systematic thinking work together. The challenge now is not only action, but acceleration at the scale. We are now making systematic transformation a new normal, hand in hand with government, investors, academia, civil society, and the private sectors. And we are hosting the support mechanism of Global Alliance Against Poverty and Hunger to accelerate implementation of best practice. So that's why we encourage all the ministers and friends, partners to dig the experience here, to combine your local conditions. Because agriculture is based on nature, based on your transformation, not a distant ambition, it is also happening. But the pace, scale, coordination of our collective action will determine whether we success. Let us commit to learn, to designing, and to delivering, and to scaling up together. The path to more efficient, more inclusive, more resilient, more sustainable agri-food system is clear. The time is now. I keep saying agri-food system because agriculture and the forestry and fishery and land and water biodiversity not only offer the food, offer the feed, offer the fuel, offer the biodiversity, and also others friendly environment. So we say agri-food system offer the 5F, not only 1F. 1F is fundamental, but other 3F, 4F, more important as I mean, move from the middle-income countries to the high-income countries. That's my experience within China 40 years. When you are hungry, of course, food is number one. But when you move up, you have a feed, fuel, biofuel, not necessarily from the food, from the grass, and then also friendly environment, and the others, food diversity. Let us use this stock take and reflect and act boldly and to strengthen our partnership to turn vision into action, turn the dream to reality. Together, we can ensure that transformation agri-food systems become a shared reality for people, for planet, for generations to come. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We thank you very much, Your Excellency, Dr. Chu Dong-yu, Director General of the FAO. And now, please welcome Alvaro Lario, President of the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Handle mic. Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Your Excellencies, Your Excellency, Amina Mohamed, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, honorable ministers, distinguished delegates, and friends. Before I begin, I'd like to take a moment to pay tribute to Sir David Navarro. Dear David, the amount of lives you touch personally as a mentor, advisor, and leader is immense. Your legacy and inspiration lives on in all of us. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, today marks the first time this stock-taking moment takes place on African soil. This is both symbolic and strategic, as the continent with the greatest need and also the greatest potential. Africa plays a central role for global food systems transformation. We are grateful to our hosts for convening us all today. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, Ethiopia has long been a continental leader in advancing food security and resilience through policies and investments that place small-scale farmers at the heart of national development. We're also pleased to recognize Italy's strong global leadership in sustainable development, and under the Mattei Plan for Africa, championed by Prime Minister Meloni, has brought renewed political momentum and a long-term vision for Africa's development and food systems transformation. IFAD is proud to work closely with both Ethiopia and Italy and to count them as strategic partners. Distinguished colleagues, up to $400 billion is needed annually to achieve our shared vision of sustainable and inclusive food systems. This amount represents less than 0.5% of global GDP and far less than the hundreds of billions currently spent each year on agricultural subsidies. While stepping up investments is essential, the real barrier is not about resources. It is our collective ability to align political will, access to finance, and international coordination. In the face of growing needs and declining development assistance, this summit must be a call to action. Many of the previous speakers talk about the drivers of success for food systems transformation, and many of them are part of IFAD's DNA. Investments in small-scale farmers, bringing climate adaptation solutions, local implementation and ownership, close integration with national development plans, and mobilization. But let me focus my intervention on two financing food systems. First, we must invest both in immediate responses, but also in long-term structural changes. This is the only way to break out of the cycle of crisis and build a future that is stable, prosperous, and equitable for all. That means financing country-led solutions that strengthen resilience, crowding public and private actors, and build on the mandates of international organizations under synergies, without duplication and without fragmentation. Second, we need bold country-owned financing strategies that combine public, private, and development finance. But above all, we must ensure that finance reaches the small-scale farmers and agri-food SMEs who are at the heart of our food system. They are the ones who are feeding the world, driving innovation, generating jobs, contributing to food security, and most importantly, to social cohesion and to local economic growth. Reshaping food systems can generate $500 billion business opportunities every year, create 120 jobs, and reduce the $12 trillion in costs and waste generated by food systems every year. Excellencies, dear colleagues, international financial institutions are already stepping up. In 2023 alone, IFIs, including IFA, disbursed $17.8 billion for food systems, a clear demonstration of commitment and catalytic action. This financing complements domestic efforts and is helping to unlock private sector engagements and investments. Transforming food systems is within reach. The path is clear, the tools exist. What we need now is the determination, the unity of purpose, and the political will to go from ambition to action. Let us work together, governments, international organizations, financial institutions, civil society, the private sector, academia, the communities, and especially the farmers themselves, to turn this shared vision into lasting change. Investing in food systems is not aid. It is a strategic investment in our collective future, which its sister RBA agencies is ready to play its part. Betam Amese Ginalo. Thank you very much.
We thank you very much, Your Excellency Alvaro Lario, President of the IFAD. And finally, please welcome Her Excellency Cindy McCain, Executive Director of the World Food Programme, WFP.
Do I need that? Oh, yay. Got lucky. Thank you. Last but not least, I'd like to thank Ethiopia and Italy, our hosts, for convening this summit. Our meeting is an important opportunity to review progress on the agreed at Food Systems Summit in 2021 and reaffirmed at the stocktake in Rome 2 years ago. I also want to thank the Deputy Secretary General, whose leadership on food systems transformation has been a guiding force for all of us. Above all, I thank the many governments represented here today. Your presence sends a clear message at the time of profound global uncertainty and change. We must stand together and act collaboratively. At the World Food Programme, we see that even in the most challenging places where food systems are fragile and unstable, transformative change is possible. School meals programs are a shining example of how targeted investments can drive lasting impact. These programs feed tens of millions of vulnerable children and encourage their parents to keep them in school. They support livelihoods for local farmers, create jobs, sustain agricultural markets and economies, and they strengthen the resilience of national food systems. This is exactly the kind of intervention we must scale, replicate, and embed in national policy backed by sustainable financing. WFP is proud to serve the Secretariat for the School Meals Program and Coalition, which was launched at the Food Systems Summit. Today, it unites 109 governments and 6 regional bodies and 140 partner organizations, all working together to reach a child everywhere through nationally owned and led programs. Political will is driving this transformation. National school meals programs are being scaled up with domestic resources, with public spending on them now exceeding $48 billion a year. But we must go even further and faster. We need new and deeper partnerships which are inclusive, locally anchored, and aligned across the humanitarian and development fields. Partnerships that deliver real, measurable results. Food systems is not just about feeding hungry people. They're also about building a more resilient, healthy, and sustainable future for everyone. Let us use this summit to reaffirm our commitment to listen, to inspire, to lead, and above all, to act. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Cindy McCain. And gentlemen, that brings us towards the conclusion of the opening ceremony of the second stocktake of the United Nations Food Systems Summit, UNFSS+4, a historic first that's happening on the African soil. We thank you all so much for joining us, and we wish you all a productive UNFSS+4. Over the coming 2 days, this will be a crucial platform for stock taking, reflecting on how to create more inclusive and sustainable food systems. We will shortly continue with the next segment of our program, and our moderator is right here on stage. If you may join us in warmly welcoming her to the stage to take over. Welcome.